Hello everyone, this is Rohit Soni again, and today we will read the chapter from class 7th entitled A Gift of Chappals by Vasantha Surya. And this chapter is from Mridu in Madras, Goruchaka Turns Up. Vasantha Surya, she is a journalist, translator, and a poet. And Goruchaka turns up from where this extract is taken is the first of her Mridu in Madras series. So this chapter is taken from Goruchaka turns up, and Goruchaka turns up is the first of her Mridu in Madras series. She had written a series of stories in Mridu in Madras, and the first story is Guruchaka turns up. Now, what is the theme of the chapter that we will read? The theme is kindness to animals. We should show kindness, and that kindness towards animals is the theme here. And more themes are also there. Compassion towards the needy, because we will see in this chapter the kindness that is shown by the children towards animals. They had a cat as a pet, and the children also show compassion. They show pity towards needy, towards a beggar, and brother sister behavior is also shown there in this chapter. The mischievous nature of children. We are shown that how children are mischievous, they do such actions as are naughty ones. Simple and sensitive heart of children. Children have got simplicity, they have got sensitivity, they have got emotions in them, and all those simplicity and emotions are shown in this chapter. The impact of the elders of the house on children, and we are also told what impact is there of the elders of the house on children. Now, what is there in this story? What is the storyline here? Mridu goes to her aunt Rukumani's house and meets her cousins Lali, Ravi, and Meena. Mridu, she is a girl, and she goes to her aunt Rukumani's house, and whom she meets there, she meets her cousin Lali, Ravi, and Meena, almost of the same age. And Ravi becomes very happy, and as soon as Ravi sees Mridu, he pulls her to the backyard. He takes Mridu to the backyard. And why does he take her to backyard? He wanted to show her a kitten that they had a pet, and they had found that kitten outside the gate. And Ravi had a name of that kitten, and he named the kitten Mahendran. Mahendran was kept secretly, and that cat is kept there secretly. It means they does not tell to any of the family members about that cat there, so that the grandmother might not be angry. And why have they kept that cat a secret? Because they do not want that the grandmother would get angry. Grandmother does not like cats. He tells how difficult it is. Now Ravi tells us how difficult it is to bring milk for that kitten because he does not want to tell anyone about that cat, and he is to give milk to the cat as well. So he faces a lot of trouble. And then he gives an account of cat's family and relatives. And as Ravi is a talkative person, so he goes on to speak about the family of the cat, family in the sense ancestors of the cat. And then he tells that cats are worshipped in ancient Egypt. So he talks about the ancestry of cats, and at the end he was going to say that in ancient Egypt, cats are worshipped. Then a screeching sound of violin is heard, and while they were engaged in talking, they heard a screeching sound of violin, and the sound was created by Lali. Lali, she was learning to play violin, and it was a tough task for her. She is not able to play violin very good. The music has a lot of difficulty in teaching her because it is the beginning that Lali is going to be taught. So that music teacher has got a lot of difficulties in teaching Lali. And now the second part of this chapter. Mridu saw Lali learning to play violin. They saw from a window that Lali was learning, and they also saw uh, the music teacher of Lali. The music teacher's description is also shown there. He is bony, lean, and thin person, bald headed, and he was wearing gold onto his body. A beggar comes, and then what happens? A beggar comes there in the house at the doorsteps, and he sits under the neem tree. The mother does not like that beggar, and she tells Ravi to send that beggar away. The beggar wants to sit, but it was hot there outside. That's why he wanted to sit under the shade of neem tree until the sun is there, heat of the sun to cool down. He wanted that the heat of the sun cools down and then he would go. He was in pathetic condition. He was in a very miserable condition, and the children had got pity on that beggar because he was not wearing slippers, he was not wearing chappals. Provided him, and those children gave him slippers, and those slippers belonged to music teacher. So they gave the beggar the slippers of the music teacher. And the beggar blessed the children and he moved away from there hastily. In a hurry, he went away because he was happy he was having slippers, he was having chappals. The music teacher, when he came out, he searched for his chappals. He did not find his chappals. And the mother also came there. She asked from children and she came to know, as she guessed, that children had something to do with those slippers. And her guess was right. That mischief was done by the children. She got angry. She was very angry when the children told that those slippers were given to the beggar. And the children also justified their action by giving example of Karan, of the sacrifice done by Karan. They said that Karan also gave his precious things to others. And the mother then scolded them and said that that Karan gave those things because those things belonged to him. She gave Gopu Mama's new slippers to the music teacher. She had to give Gopu Mama's new slippers to the music teacher because the music teacher himself said that those were his new slippers. She was worried about Gopu Mama's reactions. He was thinking of what Gopu Mama would say when he would find that his slippers were missing and his slippers were given to the music teacher. Now let's read the chapter. Part first. The gift of chappals. A smiling Rukumani door opened the door. Ravi and Meena rushed out and Ravi pulled Mridu into the house. Wait, let me take off my slippers, protested Mridu. She set them out neatly near a pair of large black ones. Those were grey actually, with dust. You could see the clear mark of every toe. On the front part of each slipper, the marks for the two big toes were long and scrawny. So now Mridu comes, and when she knocks the door, Rukumani opens the door. And when Rukumani opens the door, Ravi and Meena, both of them were excited and they rushed out. They came out in a hurry, and Ravi was pulling Mridu. He was dragging Mridu. He was taking Mridu somewhere, but Mridu wanted to take off her slippers first. She opposed and she said that she wanted to take off slippers, and then she put her slippers near a pair of large black ones. She took off her slippers near a pair of large black slippers, and those large black slippers, they were grey in reality, actually, with dust they were grey. It means those slippers were not new, they were old. Okay, they were dusty. You could see the clear mark of every toe because it was so old that the marks of his fingers, the marks of the fingers of the wearer was wearing those slippers were there on those slippers. So toe marks were there on those slippers, the front part of each slipper. The marks of toe were there on the front part of each slipper. It means those slippers were not new. The marks for the two big toes were long and scrawny, and those old marks were long and scrawny, thin. Long and thin marks were there. It means the slippers belonged to some elder person. And in reality, let me tell you, the slipper belonged to the music teacher. So those slippers were not new. Mridu didn't have much time to wonder about whose slippers they were. Though Mridu looked those slippers, but she did not wonder, she did not think about the owner of those slippers because Ravi, he was very excited and Ravi pulled her to the backyard. He took her to the backyard, and why did he take there? He wanted Mridu to see the cat, to see the kitten. So he took her to backyard behind a thick bitter berry bush. There was a tree berry bush there, bitter berry bush, and there inside a torn football. There was a torn football there, and inside that torn football lined with sacking. The football was torn, and a hard material of the football was seen there, and filled with sand. The football lined with the sacking and filled with sand. Sand was also put in the football, and what was there in that torn football? A small kitten, and the kitten was lapping up. Kitten was drinking, licking milk from the coconut half shell. There was half shell of coconut, and in that half shell was milk, and the cat was or the kitten was taking that milk. We found him outside the gate this morning. They found at the gate there outside their house. He was mewing. The cat was mewing and mewing. Poor thing. He had pity on that creature, said Mina. Even Mina had got pity. It's a secret. She said that it was a secret. Amma, says Pati, grandmother. Grandmother will leave for our Padu Mama's house if she knows we have a cat. It means the grandmother did not like the cat. That's why they had to keep the cats being there a secret. People are always telling us to be kind to animals. So these are the thinkings of children, because elder people, they always say that we should show mercy to the animals, and show mercy to the needy ones. People are always telling us to be kind to animals. To children, we always say that we should kind to animals, but when they are kind to the animals, or when they show kindness towards animal, they scream, they shout. Okay, people say, the elders say that children should love animals, but when they try to show love, they shout, they scold those children. Oh, don't bring that dirty creature here. The elders say that children should be kind to animals, but when they bring those creatures there at home, the elders say that they should not bring that dirty creature there to the house, said Ravi. Ravi does not like this idea of elders. Do you know how hard it is just to get the little milk from the kitchen? Now, Ravi is going to tell how he managed to have or to give milk to the cat. Pati saw me with a glass in my hand just now. I told her I'm very hungry. I want to drink it. But the way she looked at me, I had to drink most of it to throw her off the scent. His grandmother saw him with a glass of milk, and she might have suspicion in her. That's why he said that he was hungry, and he had to drink some milk of that glass in order to mislead the grandmother. Throw her off the scent means to mislead the grandmother. He had to take that milk in order to show that the milk was for him only. Then she wanted the tumbler back. The grandmother wanted the tumbler back. She wanted the glass back. Pati, Pati, grandmother, grandmother, I'll wash it myself. Why should I put you to trouble? He said that he would wash the glass by himself because there was milk, but he did not want the grandmother to know that there was milk, and that milk was for the cat. I told her. I had to run and pour the milk, and then what Ravi did? He ran and he poured the milk into this coconut shell, and then he ran back, he washed the glass, he washed the tumbler, and put the glass back before the grandmother got really suspicious, before the grandmother should have any doubt. Before that doubt, he just washed that glass. Now we have to think of some other way to feed Mahendra, because it was really dangerous to bring the glass of milk from within the house outside for the cat, because anyone can see them bringing milk, and they could know that a cat was there, and they do not want that anyone should know about that cat. Mahendra, this little kitty's name is Mahendran. Mridu was impressed. Mridu was impressed by the name that the boy had given to the cat. It was a real name. Mridu thought that it was a real name, not just a cute kitty cat name. That's why Mridu was really impressed by that name. Actually, his name is Mahendra Varma Pallav Punai. So this was the whole name, this was the complete or full name of that cat, MP Punai for short if you like. He's a fine breed. Now, Ravi is going to talk about the breed of that cat, ancestry of that cat. Just look at his fur. He showed his fur to that girl like a lion's mane. Mane, the hair on the neck of lion. And you know what the emblem, what the sign of the ancient Pallav king was, don't you? So what the sign of the ancient Pallava kings? He looked expectantly, he looked at Mridu, and he thought that Mridu should know the emblem, the sign of Pallav kings. Think I'm joking? Because Mridu giggled. Mridu giggled there. Mridu laughed at Ravi, and then he said, or he asked if she was thinking that he was joking. Well, just wait. I'll show you sometime. Then he said that he will show her sometime the emblem of Pallava kings. It's clear you don't know a thing about history. He said that Mridu does not have any idea about history, haven't been to Mahabalipuram. She had not gone to Mahabalipuram. He said mysteriously, in a mysterious way, he asked her if she had gone to Mahabalipuram. Well, when our class went to Mahabalipuram, Ravi went to Mahabalipuram. I saw a statue of his tatas, 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 etc., etc. So, what he said that when he was there to Mahabalipuram, he saw a statue of his. His belongs to, or his refers to the cat. The cat's grandfather's, tata means grandfather, the cat's grandfather's 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 grandfathers, and so on. So he wanted to say that he, or the cat Mahendra, he belonged to that dynasty. Fact is, Mahendran here is descended from, came from that very same ancient cat. He said that there was an ancient cat, emblem of an ancient cat there in Mahabalipuram, and this cat belongs to the same ancestry. A close relative. The cat was a close relative, scientifically speaking, of none other than the lion. Cats are, scientifically, it is true that cats are relative to lions. The Pallav lion, emblem of the Pallava dynasty. So, what is the emblem of Pallava dynasty? Pallava lineage, the a lion, a lion. Ravi went on. He continued to speak. He was not thinking as if those girls were listening to him or not. Walking around the bitterberry bush, he was walking there, and he was speaking. He was going on to speak about that cat, and he was waving a twig up and down. He was waving a branch up and down, and he was just continuing his speech. His eyes sparkling, his eyes were shining. This cat is a descendant. So he goes on speaking. The cat is an ancestry, or the cat is a descendant of none other than the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat. So there was a Rishi cat, emblem of a Rishi cat there, and he said that that cat, Mahendra, belongs to that Rishi cat. And if I may just remind you, he wanted to remind those girls They worshipped cats in ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, people worshipped cats. So he continued to talk about that cat. He went to history. How he loved the sound of his own voice. Because he himself was speaking, the way he himself was speaking, he did not whether those girls were listening to him or not. So it seems as if he loved his own sound. Meena and Mridu exchanged looks. Both those girls were looking at each other because Ravi was going to speak and he did not stop. What does that have to do with anything? Mridu demanded. Mridu asked why Ravi was telling all that story to them. What they are going to do with that story. Whew, I'm telling you, this cat is descendant from the Egyptian cat god. No, goddess. Bastet. Yeah, that's it. So he continued. He continued the same thing. He said that he wanted to tell the ancestry of that cat. She belonged to, or the cat belonged to the Egyptian god, cat god, or we can say cat goddess, and the name was Bastet. Yes, that's it. So Midhu asked why Ravi was going to speak about that cat. Well, one of the descendants of that cat goddess was stowaway to hide on a ship or a vehicle in order to move somewhere without buying or without purchasing ticket. In one of the Pallav ships, and his descendants was the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, whose descendant is Ravi flourished his twig at Mahendran. MP Punai here. Whoop! Eek! He shrieked, very pleased with himself. So now again he continued to speak about that cat and he said how the cat came there. One of the descendants of cat goddess hid themselves in Pallava ships and his descendant was Mahabalipuram Rishi and Mahabalipuram Rishi was descendant of that who came from Pallava ships whose descendant is and the descendant of that Rishi cat is Mahendran. Ravi flourishes his twigs, he moves his twig, moves his branch. Ravi moved his branch at Mahendran and said that MP Punai was the descendant of that Rishi cat. Whoop! Whoop! He made a noise. Ick! He shrieked, he shouted, very pleased with himself. He was very pleased with himself and he shouted and he waved that twig towards the cat. He was having a twig in his hand and he waved that twig towards the cat and he was very happy from himself. Why? Because he thought that he knew a lot about history. Mahendran looked up. He looked up then. He was alarmed, surprised. He had just been sharpening his claws on the edge of the coconut shell. The cat looked up. The cat got alarmed. He got surprised because the cat was afraid by the twig of or the sound made by Ravi. So the cat had just been sharpening. The cat was sharpening his claws at the edge of the coconut shell. It got surprised. It got alarmed. But worse than Ravi's awful whoop, ick. Ravi shouted, ick. But there was another sound. and the sound was that of screech. There was other sound from the window, and that came from the window, and that sound was worse than the sound of Ravi, the sound produced by Ravi. And the sound was coming, the second sound came from the window. What a weird sound! It was really a strange sound. If Mridu was startled, MP Punai was frightened out of his wits. Mridu, she got startled. She got alarmed. She got surprised. MP Punai also got frightened, and the cat got out of his wits. The cat lost control over his mind. He was standing on end. He bounced up and scurried towards a bamboo tray. So the cat got afraid. So, and the cat's hair stood on end. The cat jumped up, moved, ran towards a bamboo tray of red chilies. There were red chilies on the bamboo tray that had been set out to dry. And those chilies had been set there to dry, and the cat went there towards that plate of chilies, trying to hide beneath it. The cat wanted to hide beneath the bamboo tray. Beneath the tray made of bamboo, the cat wanted to hide, and it tipped, made something fall, a few chilies over himself. And when the cat wanted to hide under that bamboo tray, it happened that some chilies fell onto the cat, and then the cat shouted aloud, "Meow!" He howled miserably. The cat cried in a very pitiable way. The screeching, the sound went on and on. The sound continued. The sound that was coming to the window. "What's that noise?" said Mridu. Mridu asked about that noise. "That's Lali." Ravi said that the sound was created by Lali. She was learning to play violin, grunted Ravi, because Ravi was angry. And he grunted that the sound was made by Lali and she was trying to learn violin. She will never learn a thing. The music master just goes on playing like a train whizzing on and on. What he says that the music master, he plays violin very fluently. He plays violin like an expert in a good manner, as if a train is going on and on the rails, while the Lali's music that she produced from the violin, the time derailing. It seems as if the train that was moving very smoothly derailed. It got off the track, going completely off track. It seemed that the train gets off track when Lali wanted to play violin, and when the teacher played violin, the sound is really good. So this was the first part in which only the cat was mentioned, and the ancestry of the cat, and also we came to know of the sound that came from Lali's playing of violin. Now part second. Mridu crept up to the window. She went slowly towards the window in order to see Lali playing. Lali was sitting there, little distance away, awkwardly, not in a very good manner. In an odd way, she was holding her violin and bowstring. She was holding the violin and the bowstring from which she was to play that violin. She did not know how to hold them properly. Her elbow jutting out. Her elbow was extending there, and her eyes glazed, shining with concentration. Lali was showing concentration. In front of Lali, who was there with most of his back to the window, who was there in front of Lali, was the bony figure of Music Master. Bony, lean and thin. Music Master was lean and thin, and his back was there towards window. That's why the teacher did not know who was watching them. He had a mostly bald head. He was bald headed. He did not have hair on his head. The teacher had small amount of hair onto his head in the form of fringe of oiled black hair, fringe, border or frill of hair falling around his ears, and in the form of an old-fashioned tuft. A gold chain was also shining around his leathery neck, hard neck, and a diamond ring is also shining on his hand as it glided, and his hand was moving up and down the stem of the violin. While the music teacher was playing violin, the ring, the diamond ring onto the hand of that teacher gave good sheen. A large foot stuck out from beneath his gold bordered vesti edge. He was wearing gold bordered vesti, and the edge of vesti is a long cloth worn on the waist like dhoti edge, and he was beating time on the floor with the scrawny big toe. So the vesti that he was wearing, it had got golden borders, and he was moving his feet while the music was being played. Beating time on means moving hand or foot up and down with music. So he was playing music and he was moving his scrawny big toe, thin and bony scrawny big toe with the music. He played a few notes. The teacher played a few notes. Lali stumbled behind him on her violin, and Lali was also trying to play, but she was not able to play properly. She was stumbling, doing something in an odd way, which looked quite helpless. And it looked helpless and happy in her hands. The violin was looking unhappy and helpless in her hands because she was unable to play violin properly. What a difference! It was really a great difference between the master and the student. The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. It seemed that when the teacher would play, the notes, the music, it looked floating in the air and settling onto the right track of melody. So the music is melodious when the teacher plays. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly into the rails and whizzing along. When the teacher tries to play, or when the teacher played the violin, it looked as if a train was moving smoothly onto the rails. As Ravi said, Mridu stared at that huge beringed hand, beringed wearing ring. The huge beringed hand, the hand of the music teacher, Mridu saw The hand of the music teacher moving effortlessly, moving quite easily up the violin's stem, making lovely music. And the music was really lovely when the music teacher would play. It looked as if a train is moving onto the rails properly. Squawk, so very harsh and loud sound is created when Lali plays violin. It seems as if the train has derailed again. Amma, came a wail, came a cry from the gate, Amma, oh. So, meanwhile, a beggar came there at the gate of the house. Ravi, send that beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda, and her mother did not want to entertain that beggar, did not want that beggar there. She ordered Ravi to send that beggar away, where she was chatting, and the mother was chatting with the grandmother in the veranda, and she ordered Ravi to send that beggar away. He has been coming here every day for the past. The beggar had been going there to that house every day for many days, and it's time he found another house to beg from. Pati explained to Tapi. Pati told told grandmother that now it is time that the beggar should find some other house to have something. Midu and Meena followed Ravi out. Ravi went there to send the beggar away. Mridu and Meena also joined him. The beggar was already in the garden. He was in the garden making himself quite at home. He was sitting there easily. He had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree. His upper cloth he put there under the neem tree and was leaning against its trunk, and he was bending against the trunk of the tree, the neem tree. So he was resting there, apparently, clearly prepared to take a little snooze. It seemed as if he was to take a short sleep there, to take a nap there, while he waited for the arms. He was waiting for the arms, anything that is got in Bagri, by bagging that is called arms, to appear. The beggar was resting there. He wanted to have those family members there, and he wanted that those family members would bring alms to the beggar, would give something to the beggar. Go away, said Ravi sternly. Now Ravi was very, very strict. He said the beggar to go away, to move away from that house. My Pati, my grandmother says it's time you found another house to beg from. So he sent the beggar away and told that the grandmother did not like the beggar to beg there. The beggar opened his eyes very wide because he did not believe it that they have stopped giving alms to him, and gazed at each of the children one by one. He was really surprised, and he looked at each of the children one by one, the ladies of the house. He said, and what the beggar said at last in a voice choked with feeling. Now he is unable to speak because he was very much shocked, and he was feeling suffocated as if his throat is choked. He is unable to speak clearly, and he said, the ladies of the house are very kind souls. He said that they could not say no to the beggar. I have kept my body and soul together. To keep body and soul together means to live on their generosity. That the leader said that the ladies of the house were generous, and he believed on the generosity of those ladies, and he was living because of the kindness of those ladies for the whole week. I cannot believe that they would turn me away, that they would not give anything to me, or he did not believe that they are sending, that they were sending the beggar away. He raised his voice, and now the beggar shouted, or he was speaking aloud, Amma, Amma, oh, sad his wail might be, though his cries might be sad, though he was sad, but it certainly was not feeble. His cries were not feeble. His wailing was not feeble. Means he was crying or he was speaking in a very loud tone. It began in a deep, strong rumble. The wailing start. The wailing started in continuous deep sound somewhere in his withered belly. His belly was withered because he was a beggar and he did not have much to eat. That's why his belly was withered, dried up, or empty. From the belly, loud sound was coming and came booming, and the sound came booming, coming aloud out of his mouth with its few remaining teeth, stained brown with brittle chewing. He said that the beggar was chewing, or the author said that the beggar was chewing betel nuts. That's why the beggar's teeth were stained brown, were of brown color, and he did not have all the teeth in his mouth, and he produced loud sound from his belly. Ravi, tell him there is nothing left in the kitchen, called Rukmani, and he is not to come again. Tell him that. She sounded fed up. Now, Rukmani looked as if she were sick of the beggar. She was really bored of that beggar. She was sick of that beggar, and she told that there was nothing left in the kitchen. Ravi did not have to repeat it. Ravi did not say those words to the beggar. Why? Because Rukmani said those words in a very loud tone, easy for them all to hear. It was easy for them all to hear the sound of Rukmani there under the neem tree also. The beggar sat up and sighed. Now the beggar was really sad and he sighed. He released air from his mouth in a sad mood. I'll go, he said wearily. Now he was tired. He said he would go from there. Only let me have a rest here under his tree. He wanted to have some rest. The sun is so hot because it was hot outside. The tar has melted on the road because roads are mostly made of tar, and the tar, when it gets heated, it gets melted. My feet are already blistered because he was not wearing any slippers, so his feet were blistering, had bubbles on the skin due to burning, blistering, swollen somewhat, swelling onto the feet. He stretched out his feet. He stretched out his feet. He showed his feet. Large pink peeling blisters were there on the soles of the bare feet. His feet, his feet were bare. He was not wearing slippers, and he showed large pink peeling blisters there onto his sole. I suppose he does not have the money to buy chappals, Mridu whispered. Mridu said in a low tone that the beggar did not have slippers, chappals. Have you got an old pair in the house somewhere? She asked the children if there was any pair of old slippers in the house? I don't know, said Ravi. Ravi did not know. Mine are too small to fit his feet, or I'd have given them all to him. And his feet were larger than Mridu's and Mina's, so the children's slippers were not going to fit the beggar. The beggar was shaking out his upper cloth because now he was trying to move out of the house. He was shaking out his upper cloth and tightening his dhoti. He raised his eyes and looked fearfully at the road. He was looking at the road fearfully because it was really hot there outside, gleaming, shining in the afternoon heat. The road was shining in the afternoon heat, and he looked at the road because he was to move out of the house. He needs something on his feet, something to be worn onto his feet. Mina was full of pity. She said, her big eyes filling. Her big eyes filling, she was getting emotional, and she said that there should be something to be given to that beggar to wear under his feet. It's not fair. It is not fair that they would send the beggar away bare feet. Shh, said Ravi. Ravi hushed the girl. I'm thinking about it, because he was thinking, blubbering, crying noisily and uncontrollably. He was speaking something uncontrollably. It's not fair. It's not fair. Isn't going to help. In 2 minutes, he will be frying his feet on that rod. What he needs is a pair of chappals. So, where do we get them? Come, let's search the house. He pushed Mridu and Meena into the house. He took Mridu and Meena into the house. Why? Because he was thinking about a pair of chappals for the beggar, because it was really hot outside, and his feet would fry if he would go onto the road. Just as she stepped into the veranda, when Mridu entered the veranda, her eyes fell on the odd looking chappals she had noticed when she arrived. When Mridu arrived, she noticed those slippers odd looking, and those slippers were not looking good. They were looking odd, and now she had an eye onto those slippers. Ravi, she exclaimed. She whispered to him. She spoke in a low tone. Ravi, whose are those? She asked Ravi whose slippers were those. Ravi turned. He looked at those shabby, dirty looking but sturdy. But those slippers were really strong. He looked at those slippers. He beamed and nodded. He beamed. He smiled. There was brightness onto his face. And he nodded. He moved his head. These are just the right size. He said that those slippers would fit the beggar. They were of right size. He said, picking them up. Mridu and Meena followed him. They went after Ravi. Nervously, they were nervous back into the garden. They went there into the garden, they were nervous. Here, said Ravi to the beggar, dropping the slippers. He dropped the slippers in front of the old man. He gave the beggar those slippers. Wear these and don't come back. The beggar started. The beggar stared at the slippers. He looked at the slippers hurriedly, quickly, flung his towel, threw his towel over his shoulder. He put his towel onto his shoulder, pushed his feet into them. He put on those slippers and left the house, muttering, grumbling, saying a blessing to the children. So he went away quickly. In a minute, he had vanished and he had disappeared from there in a minute around the corner of the street, and he went away taking those slippers. The music master came out of the house. After some time, the music master came out of the house and took an unappreciative look and looked at those children as if he was unable to understand those, because there were strange emotions onto the faces of those children. At the three of them sitting quietly under the tree, they were sitting quietly there under the tree. They were not doing anything, they were not saying anything, they were only playing marbles. But the music teacher knew something. Then he searched for his chappals. He looked for his chappals in the veranda where he had put them. He had put his chappals in the veranda and he looked for his chappals. Lali, he called after a few moments because he did not find his chappals. He called Lali. She hurried up to him. Lali came. Have you seen my chappals, my dear? She asked Lali if she had seen those chappals. I remember having kept them here. He remembered that he had left those chappals there. Ravi, Mridu, and Meena, all three children, silently watched Lali. They were watching Lali and the music master's search because both of them were searching every corner of the veranda. He scurried around. He moved quickly around, looking over the railing. He went there towards the railing, and over the railing he looked for his chappals, and crouching and bending near the flower pots as well, to look between them, to look between those flower pots if those slippers were there. Brand new. They were. He said that his slippers were brand new. I went all the way to Mount Road. And where did he buy those slippers from? He bought those slippers from Mount Road. They cost a whole month fee. Do you know? The cost of those chappals were worth a whole month fees. That's why he was really eager to find those slippers. Soon, Lali went in to tell her mother. Lali went to her mother. Rukmani came there looking harassed. She was really worried, troubled. She was troubled. She was embarrassed with Pati, with grandmother following her, and grandmother also came there. Where could they be? Where could those slippers be? It's really quite upsetting to think. It is really upsetting. It is not good when we think someone might have stolen them. She would get uneasy. She would get upset. So many come to the door. So many vendors come to the door. Worried Pati. Pati was worried now. The grandmother was worried and she was thinking that so many vendors would come at that house, and it was not good if someone might have stolen those slippers. Rukmani caught sight of Ravi. Now Rukmani saw Ravi, Mridu, and Meena sitting under the tree. Have you children? She began, and then seeing they were curiously quiet, went on more slowly. Now the mother asked those children, and when she saw those children, they were strangely quiet. She suspected something, and then she slowly spoke. Seen anyone lurking around the veranda? The mother asked if those children had seen anyone moving around the veranda. A sharp V shaped line had formed between her eyebrows. So there were wrinkles onto her eyebrows. A V shaped line was there onto her forehead. It meant that she was really getting angry at that time. Another straight, tighter one appeared. another straight line onto the forehead appeared, in place of her usually soft, pleasant mouth. Usually, the mother's face is soft and pleasant, but now there are lines on the forehead. Rukmani was angry. Now she was angry, and those lines were showing the anger of that lady. Thought Mridu with a shiver. Now Mridu, she got afraid because she knew. She trembled there. She shivered, and she was afraid, and because she knew that Rukmani was angry. She wouldn't be so upset if she knew about with sores on his feet. She tried to tell herself. She tried to tell herself, Mridu. Mridu told herself that if the mother would know about the sores on the feet of the beggar, she would not scold those children. If she knew about the generous behavior of those children, that the children had given those slippers to the beggar because the beggar was in miserable condition, so Mridu thought that the mother would not get angry. Taking a deep breath, she cried, Rukmani, there was a beggar here. Poor thing. He had such boils on his feet. Now, Mridu had got some courage. She took a deep breath and then said to Rukmani that there was a beggar and he was really a very poor thing. He was really in a very miserable condition. He had such boils on his feet. There were swelling, there were boils, there were sores on his feet. So, said Rukmani grimly. Now Rukmani was serious and she asked, so what? What happened when the beggar had got swelling onto his feet? Turning to Ravi, Rukmani turned to Ravi. You gave the music master's chappals to that old beggar who turns up here. And she asked angrily to Ravi if he had given those slippers to the beggar. Children these days, groaned Pati. And Pati is also sad now. She said in a very sorrowful condition, children these days, she wanted to scold those children. Amma, didn't you tell me about Karna? Now, Ravi, he is trying to justify his action and he is talking about Karan, a legendary figure who gave away everything he had. Karan had given away everything he had, even his gold earrings. He was wearing gold earrings and he had given those too. He was so kind and generous. Silly, snapped Rukmani. Rukmani said, silly. It was really foolish thing that he was saying. The example was not good because Karan did not give away other people's things. Those slippers belonged to the music teacher. He only gave away his own. Karan gave away his own things, and the children had given away something that belonged to the music teacher. But my chappals wouldn't have fitted the beggar's feet. Ravi told the mother that his chappals would not fit. How could he give his own chappals to the beggar? Ravi rushed brashly on. He rushed on. He came confidently and aggressively. And Amma, if they did fit, would you really not have minded? And then Ravi asked his mother if his slippers fitted that beggar, would she not mind at that time? Ravi said Rukmani, very angry now, go inside this minute. Now Rukmani was really angry and she said to Ravi to go inside, to go in the house. She hurried indoors and brought out Gopu Mama's hardly worn new chappals, and then Rukmani went into the house and she came with Gopu Mama's hardly worn new chappals. So she came out with new chappals that belonged to Gopu Mama. These should fit you. And she offered those slippers to the beggar. Sir, please put these on. I'm sorry, she apologized. My son has been very naughty, and said that the son was naughty. The music master's eyes lit up. Why his eyes brightened, lit up? Because those slippers were new that the music master was wearing. He put them on, trying not to look too happy, and he was posing. The music teacher was posing as if his slippers were good or better than this one. Well, I suppose these will have to do. Music teacher said that though these slippers were not good, better than his own slippers, and he had to manage. Will have to do. He had to manage with those slippers given by Rukmani. These days, children have no respect for elders. What to do? A Hanuman incarnate embodiment. Only Ram can save such a naughty fellow. So the music teacher compared Ravi to Hanuman and said that he was really naughty fellow. And Rukmani's eyes flashed. Her eyes got red. She did not seem to like Ravi being called monkey, because indirectly the music teacher was calling Ravi monkey. Even a holy monkey, he was saying to Ravi. She stood stiff. Now she was standing there, she was rigid, she was stiff and straight by the front door. She was standing there by the front door. It was clear she wanted him to leave quickly. It was quite clear that she wanted the music teacher to leave the house as soon as possible. When he had clattered off, when he had moved off the house making noise with his newly got slippers, in his new chappals, he went from there. She said, Mridu, come in and have some tiffin. Honestly, how do you children think of some things? She was really not willing to believe that what those children had done. Thank God your Gopu Mama doesn't wear his chappals to work. She thanks, or she thanked to God that Gopu Mama did not wear those chappals and go to work. As she walked towards the kitchen with Mridu and Meena, the mother was going there, accompanied by Mridu and Meena. She suddenly began to laugh. She started to laugh because she was thinking of the generous action done by those children. But he is always in such a hurry to throw off his shoes and socks and get into his chappals as soon as he comes home. Now, she again thinks that though Gopu Mama did not did not go out to work with those slippers, but as soon as he entered the house, he would ask for those slippers. What's your mama going to say this evening when I tell him I gave his chappals to the music master? And now the mother decided that she would take all the blame onto herself. She herself would say that she gave those slippers to the music master, and she did not know what would be the reaction of Gopu Mama. So this was really a good chapter, and we have got a good moral in that chapter as well. And the moral and the message that we get from this chapter is that we should show mercy towards animals. We should show mercy as those children had shown. Children are innocent souls and their views are to be respected. We should know that sometimes children do such actions that are really good. We should not be cruel towards the needy persons, as the children had shown us how to behave with the needy person. They had given slippers to the beggar. We should teach children good things so that they behave in a good way. The children should be taught good manners. The children should be taught good things, good stories, so that their behavior get changed. Children are to be taught things by giving them examples. The elders should give them examples. They should tell them stories. They should give them examples how to tackle the situations in our daily life. We should have human values, and the ultimate moral that the chapter has is that we should have human values, human qualities, and by having human values, we will show pity, we will show mercy on others, and we will help others. So I hope you have understood the chapter, and if there is any problem, there is any query on your part, feel free to write in the comment section, or you can contact me via any media. So thank you for watching the video patiently. I hope you have understood the topic well. So like and share the video, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you with a new video on a new topic. Till then, bye.